All right, everybody. So we got as they say, the best for last. So we're happy to have Sony's motion picture here. It's going to be an exciting one. I got to see a little bit of it earlier, and it is pretty creepy. So I think you guys that are into horror films are really, really going to enjoy this. As always, I do have to make the announcement. Please be sure not to record any of that footage. Again, the studios bring us some great stuff, and we want to make sure they feel comfortable for doing it. So let's let Sony know how excited we are to hear for this movie. Come on, let's let them know. All right, that's good. So with that, it is my pleasure now to introduce the moderator of this panel, our friend, Mr. Chris Hardwick.
Hello. What's up, WonderCon? Hey, guys. Please continue your applause for Eddie one more time. Eddie's the best. We do these all the time here at the WonderCons and the Comic-Cons in San Diego. I love you too, person. I'm very excited about this panel. I have a few friends in this movie, and I saw a clip of the movie, which we're actually going to show you guys today, and it looks fantastic. So I'm going to bring the director out right now. Please welcome to the stage, Scott Derrickson.
Thank you. This is for you.
Welcome, Scott. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Scott and Olivia just got in a beer chugging contest backstage.
That is true. I won.
You did win.
I did win.
That was a good job. I moderated.
If I belch, yeah, and he did. He moderated.
I said if anyone projectile vomits, it could be like devil possession, and then everyone will be like, "This is such a great campaign for the movie."
This is like 30 seconds ago.
It was. It just happened. So it hasn't.
Just chugged an entire.
So people should start watching now when that'll start to take effect in your blood.
Yeah. Let's talk quickly.
But we have a full panel of people that are going to come out in a second. But Scott, you actually brought a clip yourself. Would you like to set it up?
I didn't bring it myself, but I will.
Why do you ruin the illusion?
I know. Sorry. Truth teller. The clip is 5 minutes long, or about 5.5 minutes long. I think it's mostly material that has not been shown. I've seen it. It's a very good representation of the movie, which I always appreciate. I think the only other thing I'll say about it in setting it up is, if you don't know anything about this and are kind of walking into this blind, it's based on a real character, Ralph Sarchie, who is a police sergeant in the Bronx, in the 4-6 precinct, which the FBI called the most dangerous square mile in America, highest crime rate, highest arrest rate of any precinct in the country. And this guy who was an undercover police sergeant and dealing with violent crimes with a team of men underneath him, began to get involved in the investigation of a few paranormal cases and ultimately became an assistant to an exorcist. True story, a real guy. Larger than life character, and it's really that character that kind of drove the movie into existence. So let's take a look at Deliver Us from Evil.
Excellent. Roll the thing. Deliver Us from Evil! Exclusive clip. Nice job, Scott.
Thank you.
My favorite part about watching these in a situation like this is just hearing like grown dudes in the audience go, "Oh shit!" Like right when the owl rolled off, which I'm totally cosplaying as next year. That's horrifying. I'm going to bring out the rest of the panel right now. We're going to talk for a few minutes, and then you guys are going to get a chance to ask some questions, as a panel typically works. So let's start with the producer. Please welcome to the stage, Jerry Bruckheimer. Also, Joel McHale. Joel, 6 seasons in a movie, McHale. My old friend Olivia Munn. Edgar Ramirez. And Eric Bana.
I think you're here. Edgar, you're here. Olivia here. Joel here. Jerry. Yes. All right.
I don't know you.
Shut up, Olivia. You could totally score with that guy.
Okay.
All right.
How big is it?
Okay.
It's a normal question.
Oh, I miss hanging out.
I miss you
I totally
too.
miss hanging out.
How big is yours?
Well,
Already?
7 inches.
Right off.
she did just chug a beer.
I'm a little,
all right.
I did chug a beer and I lost.
Let's start at the end with Jerry. Jerry, how did you find this movie? Did you read the book and say this is something that I need to be involved in? How did you come into the project?
We found it about 10 years ago. We found the book, and we're really excited about it. It's based on a true story about Ralph Sarchi's life in the Bronx as a detective. We love bringing verisimilitude to audiences, hopefully experiences that you'll never have, but Ralph had them. And Scott Derrickson wrote the first draft of the adaptation. He went on to do other projects and did some very successful movies and came back to it, and we're very fortunate that he's got the movie made and with this wonderful cast.
So just because you've done pretty much every kind of everything, movie and television, what is it specifically about this genre that you were like, oh, this is something I really want to tackle?
You know, we love procedurals. We've made a lot of procedurals for television. This is part procedural, and it has a paranormal element, which I've never done before, and Scott is the expert on that based on his previous work, and we really relied on him to bring something that's extraordinarily scary and true to the screen.
Excellent. Eric, Dana, how are you? Hey, we didn't meet backstage.
Hey, you too, man. Thank you.
So how did you get involved with the project? Had you read the book, or did they send it over to you, or what was the project?
First point of entry for me was a script, and I read it and absolutely loved it, and would have been happy to play Ralph Sarchi in any genre, and it just so happened that he was in a horror movie. And then I sat down and met Scott, and we had a really, really great chat, and I'd loved Scott's previous movies, and it was a very, very easy decision.
Did you see? I always feel like I don't. It's not that I'm a superstitious person, but I feel like, oh, if I'm in a devil possession movie, I'm probably just going to get possessed by the devil. Like, when you're shooting this, are you freaked out when you're shooting it at all, or did it sort of expand any belief horizons that you had?
Well, I guess I was coming from a skeptical place, which I think was, on the one hand, handy from a survival point of view, but that also suited the character. But obviously, as an actor, you've got to be open. This guy scared the bejesus out of me in pre-production. He had access to some materials along with Ralph Sarchi, the real guy, that they shared with me, which I clearly wish I hadn't have seen, and clearly had a week and a half of not being able to sleep correctly. Thank you. It's really handy leading up to a movie when you're the lead. I appreciate that. But yeah, I was just really open, and I just realised, learning a lot through Scott and Ralph, that there are varying shades of grey. It's not as simple as someone's not possessed and someone's fully possessed. It's like there's a million steps in between, as you can see out here. There is.
Well, yeah, especially it's like devil possession or meth head. Like, how do you know? And how do you, as a skeptic, approach this? When you actually have to start believing that something crazy is going on.
Well, there's also a point at which it actually doesn't matter. It's like if you're Ralph Sarchi and you're investigating these crimes or these possession cases. I mean, he conducts his investigations like a police officer, and some of the source materials that we saw were fascinating because it's literally it's a cop interviewing someone who is in a house where there may or may not be an instance of possession. So it's actually a very analytical, very procedural point of view that was grounded in reality, which scared the hell out of me, and I hope it sort of helps the audience kind of, I hope that it grounds it for the audience as well.
Yeah. Edgar, your character is the priest,
Yep.
and that's also based on a guy who wrote a book, correct?
It is based on two characters, a Catholic bishop and a Catholic priest who accompanied Ralph Sarchi throughout, the solving of the cases that are, reflected in the movie.
So what was your point of view coming in?
Well, I was raised Catholic, so I was pretty much familiar with the symbolism, with symbolisms in the movie, and of course I watched by accident The Exorcist when I was 6 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was an accident because then I couldn't sleep alone or without my lights on for the following 2 years. So halfway through the process, I was, the process of this movie, then I was wondering why did I take on this movie because my lights are on again, you know, and they were on, you know, for the 3 months of preparation and throughout the whole shoot, you know, and also my TV set. So I had to put this thing on my eyes just to block the light and fall asleep. But I think that it has, you know, it had a lot to do with confronting those childhood, you know, fears, and of course I walked into it with an open mind. You know, I cannot really deny or claim the existence of something that I don't fully understand.
Right.
You know, so I kept an open mind, and I walked out with a broader open mind. So I think that now I'm not afraid of anything.
Oh, good. I just like the idea that leaving the lights on, the devil would be like, "Oh, this guy's lights are on. I'm not going to possess him." I'm not afraid of a lot of things, but the TV's on, the lights are on. It's not worth it.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Olivia Munn, who you play Sarchi's wife. So what was, how did you get involved, and what was the experience like for you? Because your character actually, it seems like they suggest she goes to church, she believes in this stuff, but somehow she's married a skeptic, and I don't know, what's her story?
Yeah, so my character is Eric's wife. That's the only reason why I signed on to the movie.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I didn't really approach it as like a believing or disbelieving thing. It wasn't that wasn't as important to me. The most important thing, I think, in a movie like this, when you're telling someone's true story and their true accounts, is that I create and I help create a really great home base for him, so that when the audience is watching, we really know what Sarchi has to lose when all this stuff starts to happen. So that was really the most important thing to me.
When you're shooting a horror movie, are you guys screwing around in between takes, or does everyone have to be kind of serious because you're trying to? How many takes do you do where you're like, like how many gasp takes and freak like?
Well, we have a lot of comedic actors in this movie. Not Joel,
no.
But he's more known for his dramatic works.
Very serious.
And his reality television from The Bachelor.
It's true.
1, 2, and 3. But so there's a lot, and Eric is, people in America don't really know this, but he's comedic background, so there's a lot of joking. I think you have to keep it light and fun, and have fun in between. But it doesn't get that. It got serious. To me, it got serious when Eric told me that he had seen the actual exorcism footage from the NYPD has this footage from their exorcisms, and that he couldn't sleep for 3 weeks, and he wasn't a believer. I was like, but you couldn't sleep for 3 weeks, so it was so scary, big Australian man. And
you got to leave the lights on.
Right, leave the lights on. Yeah, the devil stays away. And so then I asked to see them. I was like, if you couldn't, I have to see them. And then he heard that I asked to see them, and Scott was going to let me see them. And Eric's like, I heard that Olivia asked to see them. She cannot see these. You can't see these because you won't sleep. And that's when it got really real for me. And then I said, if I can't see them, then I have to see them. And I watched them, and he was right.
Did you watch them?
I watched.
You did? Oh, no.
No, I watched half of one, and I cried. I cried, and then I kept the lights on, and they're still on. Yeah.
Wow. Is this footage? Can you not get this footage online anywhere?
No, this is not. This is the stuff that Scott Derrickson, with all of his research and all the stuff that he's done. This is stuff that you won't find on YouTube. You can't Google it. This is just footage that is personal to.
And here it is, right now.
Yeah. You're welcome, WonderCon.
That's when I feel like the internet lets me down. Like, I just assume the internet, and you're like,
but
it's not on YouTube? What are you talking? I don't even understand what you're saying.
The internet let you down, but Scott won't.
Scott, well.
He won't. And all that stuff is like they put it into the movie. But that's where it got real. And when we started talking about if we believe in things or not, before I got into this movie, I did not believe in anything. Because I'm in Hollywood and people make fun of you if you believe in anything. So I was like, I believe in us and Sage.
I believe the children are future.
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Everyone else. Joel, you, next.
Go.
Let them see the beauty that you have inside.
Yep. I feel like a little Australian accent would probably cap this out.
Give
nicely.
him a chance.
Yes.
I don't
the
even
Latin
know
guy,
which
I don't
song they're singing, but it sounds really good.
Just sing something from Midnight Oil. That's fine, Eric.
The time has come.
The sci-fi is fair.
That's not even a. All right, Joel. How did you get involved with the movie? What's your character? Tell me anything else. Hashtag 6 seasons in a movie.
Yes, 6 seasons in a movie. I play Jeff Winger in this movie, and
So you just got to play your character from Community. They were like, we really
Scott.
like that guy. Just be that guy.
yeah, I just lifted the character right in. He's very concerned about his uniform the entire.
That's an
movie.
interesting idea.
I allowed Scott to put me in this movie.
Allowed Scott.
No, I am very good friends with Scott, and he took pity on me and wrote this role with me in mind. Pedophile. No, he put. I am in my own life have a large knife collection, and my character loves knives
You
and
really?
stabbing. I do. Come on over. And Scott. I mean, Scott and I've been friends a long time. I remember him telling me about Ralph Sarchie, riding around with him, and then all of a sudden it became a real thing, and that Jerry allowed me to be in the movie as well. So my character is Eric's partner, and I am not a very nice man.
Police partner.
I'm what?
Not life partner.
Police partner.
No, we're lovers, but there's a lot going on in this movie.
I don't know how I ended up with this guy in the back of the car, baby. I must be possessed. I don't know, man. I don't know.
But Joel learned how to fight with, what kind of, is that Filipino style?
A Filipino
Like
knife fighting
like
style.
basically like a boxer would fight, but holding knives.
Yeah.
So he could just, like
It's a
he knows
form
how to
of
do
murder.
that. It's a form.
It literally is not really an art. It's showing. I was showing how I could kill people. It was
But
great.
it was awesome. Now you know how.
Now I do, and I
any
use
volunteers?
it. Yeah.
No?
I work at the E building. It comes in handy when I.
Khloe Kardashian swipe.
They don't bleed.
Bruce Jenner's empty. He's a husk.
It's just sand coming out of him.
You just punch through him. I cannot be defeated by conventional means.
What the hell? Where's that old lady running to now?
Is he
Hey,
turning
buddy,
into-
Ryan Seacrest. Scott, let's talk a little bit about, because obviously Exorcism Emily Rose is a phenomenal movie. I adore that movie. What is it about this kind? I know it's a different story. I know this is more procedural. What is it about this kind of story that you really like as a filmmaker?
I mean, I like that. Unlike zombie movies, where the audience knows there aren't really zombies or vampire movies, there's no real vampires or werewolves. Exorcisms are a fact. You know, they really happen. And the footage that I showed Eric and Olivia is so disturbing because it's real. You know, it's real footage that happened to real people, and I like that. I like two things about that. I like that it allows a different kind of fear to enter into the audience if you do it properly, because it's a fear that goes, I think, deeper than other kinds of genre films. But I also like that it opens the mind to the mysteries of life, you know. And I'm a big believer that that horror films are meant to be fun, and they're meant to be a form of escape, as all good entertainment is. But at the same time, they awaken good things in us when they're good movies. And in a good horror film, certainly a good exorcism movie, makes you think that the world is a bit more magical and mysterious than what you know, you're often told by the powers of the world, you know,
Yeah.
that we've got everything figured out, and I don't think that's true, and I like movies that remind me that that's not true.
Eric, did you spend a lot of time with Ralph Sarchie?
I did. It wasn't really negotiable. Ralph was there from day one of pre-production through every day of the shoot. And initially, I freaked out. I was like, we were doing a table reading, and when I do a table reading, sometimes I'm not even at the stage where I'm doing it in accent, you know. And there's this guy who's having to listen to an Australian guy, you know, read him. I can't remember if I did it
for the first time, reading the script for the first time.
And and we were reading the script this day, and he stopped, and he gave me a note, like an acting note. And if it was 10 years ago, I would have just frozen and said nothing and waited for the director to come and defend me. And I just went, Ralph, don't listen or pay attention to a single word that comes out of my mouth today. And he got it, and he was like, he respected it, and he left me alone, and we ended up becoming really good friends, and it never freaked me out beyond that point. He was on set every day. In fact, it was the other way around. There was a few days where he refused to come to set because he didn't want to see what I was doing because my acting was so bad, apparently. It's like, I really don't need to be exposed to any more of that. So there were times where he wouldn't come because he just didn't want to see what we were filming that day. But yeah, so it was a mixture of initially terrifying and then just fun.
But is it strange? I mean, how do you approach a character that's a real guy in the world as opposed to someone that's completely made up?
It's a fair question. Initially, I think you can be really selfish, and you have a list of 1,000 things that you want to ask them. And going into the project, I had that list of 1,000 questions, and I wanted to sit him down and, you know, ask him about this, tell me this story. And honestly, after 2 days, luckily we hit it off because we both love motorcycles. And I just went, I'm not asking him anything. I'm not asking him a single thing. I don't want to hear any stories. I don't want to know about any police procedure, nothing. And I just shut my mouth and I just listened to him. I listened to him talk to other people. I listened to him talk to the crew. I watched the effect he had on people. I watched the effect he had on the cops who would come to visit the set. The older officers were so excited they were going to meet Ralph and see him again, and the younger officers were absolutely shitting themselves that they were finally going to meet Ralph Sarchie. Like, he had this incredible physical presence and reputation. So I just thought it was more appropriate to just sit back and just be an observer of all that rather than interview him, you know?
Yeah. I guess the same question for you, Edgar. Do you, when you're playing someone that's based on a real or a couple of real people, do you take that into the role with you, or do you kind of go, well, that's a nice reference point, but I sort of have an idea of what I want to do?
Well, I think it's a mixture of the two. I mean, definitely there's certain traits and certain things that you might or might not respect or take into your own mixing. But in the end, you are recreating life. You're not imitating life. I mean, it's like I remember from the read through when Sarchie told you clench teeth. Remember, you gotta say that with your teeth clenched, like you gotta talk like this. I remember that one. And you cannot imitate life. I mean, you are recreating it. You know, so it's the recreation of the writer and director and the actor. So in the end, you know, it doesn't matter even if you try as much as you can to imitate someone, it will never happen. I mean, yeah. you will create something new, and that's what I tried. Especially, I didn't get to meet the bishop and the priest upon, you know, who my character is based on. I didn't have access to them, but I did meet certain, you know, priests, Jesuit priests, and some exorcists, and but just to also recreate the psychology of a priest. But for me, it was more important to put focus on who Joseph Mendoza, which is the name of my character, was as a man and as a human being, and the reasons that made him want to become a priest, you know. And,
excellent.
Yeah.
Do you want to? We can start lining up for questions if you guys want to have some. If you want to ask some questions. Oh, there's the microphone right in the middle. Yeah, line up. Did you? One brave young woman. What is your name?
I'm Pauline.
Hi. What's your question?
It's for Scott. Scott, you like doing exorcist movies. So, by any chance, did you ever witness one in real life, exorcism?
No, I've obviously seen a lot of footage. I've spoken to people who've been through pretty serious exorcisms and consequential events, but I've never actually witnessed one. Don't particularly want to.
Hi. Is your question why so serious?
Yes, that is it, okay. Chris. Thank you.
Good.
Why,
nice.
Chris? Why are you so serious?
I like it when it's just said that. Come on, guys, why so serious?
I just wondered, does Ralph Sarchie have a cameo in the movie?
Ooh, that's a good question. Does Ralph Sarchie have a cameo anywhere in the movie?
I tried so hard to convince him to do it, and he absolutely refused. He absolutely would not do it.
Why do you think that is?
I think he's, you know, Ralph's a very complicated guy, and I think that there was something about doing that for him was going to be ego-driven. I think he actually wanted to do it, and because he wanted to do it, he forced himself under no circumstances to do it. I think that's true.
It's got to be pretty strange for a guy who's a cop and a skeptic, and then all this stuff happens, and it kind of changes his life, and then all of a sudden you're basically a bunch of artists and performers come on, and they just paint this picture like this is a representation of your life. I mean, when your experience with him did that blow his mind a little bit?
Yeah, and I think it's continuing to do so. You know, there's really nothing that can prepare you for this. You know, and the size of the machine that gets behind a big Hollywood movie. But so far he's doing really well with it. You know, and the interviews that he's giving are great. He is a larger than life character on many levels, and I think that what he has come to appreciate is that he does have something to contribute, you know, and that his story was worth telling. And I'm just appreciative that he's let us do everything that we've done, and that in the process of working on the movie, he was our cop advisor. You know, he was there every day, not because the movie was based on him, but because we needed a police officer from the NYPD to be there and make sure that the NYPD was properly represented, and that people that Joel and Eric would draw their guns right and clear a room correctly and all of that. So he was there for very practical reasons, and did a really good job of not getting in the way of the creative processes that we were all a part of, in spite of the fact that the movie was based on him.
Joel, what is the right way? Are you going to take a selfie right now?
Well, I just realized that it said, please be aware that many members of your audience may be under 18 years of age. Yeah. I did not read that before I made the first thing about how big it was.
Oh, well, that could mean anything.
I just wanted to apologize.
That could be a utility belt or a cape or Gandalf's staff, so to speak.
It was about a cake.
Yeah.
But I think young people want to know that guy's dick size.
Okay, Joel. All right, good. Good. Well, now it's out on the... That's good.
Oh, Bruckheimer's not going to let us come back to anything. Come on. Get it together.
We can barely hear our... I'm sitting right next to Olivia. I cannot not understand what she's saying.
Yeah, because the speakers are in front, so they're bouncing off the back
It's
of
like
the room.
being on set with Eric every day. I mean, just like, I do not understand what he is saying.
It's because he's so handsome.
You want to go over there and
It's just because you're getting lost in his eyes.
Yes.
So dreamy.
What is your name and question, sir?
My name is Ryan. Before I start asking my question, I'd just like to say, Olivia Munn, I love you. I think.
I love you too.
Go ahead and ask him now.
What's up, my Asians?
I don't really think I have a chance, though.
What? Who's cutting you off?
The mic is not working. Okay. My question is for Joe. So in this movie, it seems like you're playing like a experienced hard-ass cop, right? Now this is a lot different from the roles that we're familiar with you.
How so?
Because
very similar to the Soup.
You come from a comedic past, especially from Community. So my question is, are you trying? Is this like where you're trying to showcase your acting range? Are you trying to step more into the film world, away from the TV? Are we going to see more of you in the future, not only on TV but also in films?
I hope so. We're now taping the sequel to this movie right now. I'm joking. No, believe me. The access into the business was through comedy and people like Scott, who took pity on me, and Jerry, who allowed me to be in the movie. I used to do stuff like this all the time. I mean, not knife fighting all the time, but playing different roles. And so I, was over the moon about the opportunity. And so I was thrilled by the character. And people are always like, is that hard for you? the best time I've ever had, probably one of the best times acting experiences.
If I can jump in on it too, you know, I've known Joel for a long, long time and very good friends, and I knew Joel when he first moved from Seattle, and I was one of the first people in LA that he became friends with, and you know, so I would go to see him trying to get into local plays, you know, and he would do local theater work before he even had an agent, and so his family and my family are very, very close, and so I know a side of Joel that is not captured in those other roles that he does. You know, the real Joel is not the guy on The Soup, and it's not the guy on Community. He does have a gigantic knife collection, and he is a functioning sociopath.
I never thought of it that
actually,
way.
this is really true. This is true. I know a test question. It would take a while for me to repeat the whole thing, but I know a test question designed by the FBI to screen for serial killers. I've asked that question. I've gone through the process of asking this test question to maybe 45 or 50 people in my life. No one's ever gotten it correct except Joel. So, and that's true. That is really true. So the experience of writing the script was one where I was writing this partner character, and I just was really struggling, you know, and Jerry remembers that the first drafts of the script, that character was just not that great. And when the character became great was when I started to imagine what if Joel became a cop instead of an actor, and that was the role. That was how I wrote him. And the character that he plays is very much tailor designed for him. That's not true of any of the other actors in the movie, but he does very well in it.
I think when you put a person who has strong comedic instincts in a serious role, I just feel like it gives dimension. I mean, I know, like Olivia said, Eric has stand-up background in Australia. When was the last time you did stand-up?
Would be probably 12, 13 years ago.
Oh, wow. Do you ever miss it?
I don't miss the stand-up. I miss the sketch comedy because that part of your brain doesn't switch off. I see sketches all day, every day, and I just can't do anything about it. The stand-up I don't miss. I'm too lazy to want to go and do that.
You don't really need to right now. You don't really have to run out there.
Chris, did you know, I mean, not kidding, he had his own show in Australia he was the star of his own sketch show that was very popular. And so then the world knew him as Chopper, and from you guys saw Chopper? And Chopper 2 was amazing. But he had the whole background. No one knew about it in the world except for Australia. And he's not that funny, but it's amazing that he had that role.
The only Australian show I know is Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh, jeez.
Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
You saw that show, right?
Of course.
It was like Lassie, but with a kangaroo. And they would just have this dead kangaroo hand come out of frame and like dial a phone number and save a kid from a well. That's a real show. What is your name, sir?
Hey, I'm Steve. Let's talk about chicks, man.
Oh.
Big fan of The Soup. Joel, please don't stop doing it. I know you're getting all these opportunities.
All right.
So on it, you got The Walking
now I've
Dead.
made my decision. I'm staying. Okay, great.
You got The Walking Dead spoof you guys doing on there. Are you going to do one for this movie?
If the cast will agree to be in it, then
I'm busy.
Oh, shit.
Next question.
No, we're not now. We're not.
Hi.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey.
What's your name?
My name's Jesse.
And what's your question?
While working on the movie, does it ever get stressful working with each other's?
It's a fair question.
I am delightful. So that's what I can say for those guys. It's not on this movie because we're very, like, sometimes it can be like that, but everybody here gets along so well, and it's not always like that. It's just very, like, Scott and Jerry did a great job, I think, to all of our benefit, that we have, that we all get along very well. But you never know, right, Scott? Like, when you cast a movie, you never really know.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a unique chemistry between actors, both on camera and off camera. And in this case, it was a very difficult shoot. You know, we were shooting in the Bronx. We were shooting mostly nights. The weather was terrible. It was either freezing cold rain or entirely too hot. There was a grueling quality to it. But I think that we all got through it because everybody got along really well, and everybody was working hard to contribute to the creativity of the movie. And what you're seeing up here, this just went on all the time because all these people are funny. And I've I think a 7 or 8 minute. I should put it on the DVD. About a 7 or 8 minute clip of an improv reel of Eric and Joel just driving in the car, where we just drove around New York and just let them talk for a while, and it's absolutely hysterical. So it was a fun experience. Personally, in the interaction of the people, everybody got along really well. It's true. There just wasn't any infighting, or everybody liked each other.
I have a question for Jerry, which is, of all the stuff that you've worked on, how do you know, this is the right combination of things, this is the right chemistry, these are the right people, this is the right director, this is the right vision? How do you sort of guide that and keep an eye on that?
You really don't know. I mean, it's years of experience, and I've been doing it for 40 years, and I still can't figure it out. But what's fun about this is we put together a group of people that are so much fun to work with and so talented that I'm really lucky to be up here with them. And that's what it's all about. It's about casting really talented people. In my entire career, we've found some amazing talented actors and directors and writers, and I'm sharing the work that they do with people around the world.
Excellent. Hey, what's your name and question?
Superman. Hi, my name is Kenny. Just hearing you guys talk about watching those tapes and saying how it disturbed you. So it seemed to me like it affected you on some level, like there was some belief that evil truly did exist, therefore why it disturbs you. So I guess my question is for everybody sitting up there, maybe we could go down the line, how did that, viewing those who did view those tapes and participating and knowing what you know now about the true facts of the story, how did that affect your belief in God or the devil or your own personal beliefs in any way? Did it strengthen them? Did it make you more of an unbeliever, or so along that line?
Can I start with one answer to that, which is the number one thing I got out of this, which I actually heard Scott say this exact same thing when he was researching Emily Rose and stuff, which is the one thing that you come away with, which is completely undoubtable, is that you're witnessing people going through incredibly real suffering. What it is, how you want to describe it, where it comes from, I don't care. But what you see is someone suffering in a way that I've just never seen anything like it before. And for me, that was the thing that was the real grounding part, and the thing that both scared me and moved me. And I concur. It's something I've heard Scott say before, and that's what the point of reference was for me. Beyond anything else, it was almost like I didn't almost care about the other stuff once I'd seen that.
Excellent.
For me, I was raised Christian, and then something happened in like 2010 that made me not believe in anything anymore. And then I did this movie, and I saw those tapes. I saw half of the one tape, and it made me question things. And no joke, you guys know the Long Island Medium? Well, I became friends with Teresa Caputo, and Teresa gave me a reading. And now I believe. And now I really believe. Like it started with this movie, and the things that I saw on that tape, the same tape that Eric's talking about, he saw all of it. I only saw half of one. And it just made me, it's the suffering that, like, when Eric described it to me, he said, there's what you see, he's like this guy, he's got like this otherworldly look in his eyes. And I said, oh, you mean like he's crazy? And he's like, no. It's not like he's crazy, it's like he's from another world. And when he said that, it stayed with me, and I watched the tape, and you see, like, this isn't the kind of suffering that any of us have ever seen, or anybody you've seen that's been sad or suffering or hurt. It's different, and that opened up my mind. And then that was in July when we shot this movie. By October or November, I met Teresa Caputo for the first time, and already my mind's opening up to questions of maybe there's a possibility. Because I really do believe that no one can prove anything more than I can disprove it. So it's better for us all to all agree that we don't really know what happens afterwards, and it's better just to I think it's very narrow-minded to think that that we only exist as far as our fingertips go. And talking to Teresa, and she gave me a reading, and it all started with doing this movie and what I saw, and knowing that it's based on a true story. That opened things up, and so now I believe. In fact, they're with us right now.
Wait, what?
They're with us right now.
No. Hoo-hoo. Do you feel like your question was satisfactorily answered? Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we have time for a couple more questions. What is your name?
My name is Lita. Whoa. Okay. My question was about a lot of times in horror movies or exorcism movies, they use a lot of special effects, but sometimes they, like with the new Evil Dead movie, they did almost entirely no special effects, just practical effects. And I was wondering how much of this movie is practical effects and if there's a lot of special effects.
So you mean like CG versus practical effects?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a rule, anytime that you can shoot something real, it's going to look better. It's just that there is no way around that. I think that beyond that, anytime that you can create an emotional experience for an audience without any effect and really use the emotion of the actors, that's even going to be that much more effective. And in this case, some of the most intense scenes in the movie are portrayed by Sean Harris, the British actor, who's not here because he lives in London, who's amazing in the movie. And he is in this movie in some ways the conduit of the style in the same way that Jennifer Carpenter was for me with Emily Rose, which in seeing what he was capable of doing as an actor, it allowed me to shed some of the effects of the movie. It's not a heavy CG movie. It is a movie with, you saw the shot of him with the body scarring on him. That's a very difficult physical effect to pull off of. It's like over 200 prosthetics. He had to be in a chair for many hours to pull off the look of those, but they do look real. I think that in the end, it is always the responsibility of a filmmaker to do everything they can to not let the audience go to that place of thinking of something as being created on screen. And that is all about how good is your story, how good are the performances. And as good as the story is and as good as the performances are, that's how much leeway you have to make use of those other tricks of the trade. We've all seen it. There's nothing worse than a heavy CG movie or even a heavy practical effects movie that's in support of a story that's not interesting or acting that's poor. So I think that in general, though, the rule that every director should abide by is that if you can shoot it real, it will look better.
But also with a movie like this, too, anything that happens peripherally is a lot of the scariest stuff when you kind of leave the audience's imagination to fill in the blanks about what's going on.
Oh yeah, always. I mean, that's the way it's always been. That if you can get the audience to imagine something horrible, they'll imagine something far worse than you can ever create, and sometimes they'll actually think that it happened. I know people who still are convinced that they saw the lawnmower, tear up the girl in Sinister, and we cut out before it happens, but their mind fills in that space, and that's a good trick of the trade.
So I think maybe we have time for one more question. So it better be really good. What is your name, sir?
My name is William, and I like to party, but I'm sorry, this question's not going to be that great. Somebody already asked my question, so this one's going to be kind of dumb.
Oh, step aside. Step aside.
I think
this one's for Joe.
I
think you should keep setting it up more. This is not going to be good.
This one's for Joe.
Down.
Joe, you are a sexy man.
Good question.
That's a question. That's a statement, which I agree with. Captain America.
Wait, your mic's cut out.
Oh.
I think that's God.
Hey, I'm going to ask a question.
Oh, there it is. It's back.
Okay. Oh, they cut me off. How do you feel that in Community you've hooked up with Britta?
It feels great when I do it. Thank you. That was worth it.
You ruined WonderCon.
Gillian Japes is... Yeah.
Go home.
Gillian's awesome. I love
The poor guy didn't get to ask his question.
I think
his question was it fun hooking up with Alison Brie?
No, go ahead. What?
What?
Oh.
Well, I guess maybe, do you have one? Yeah, one more question.
I do.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Hillary. Thank you guys for coming out. I'm sure everybody really appreciates it. My question. Oh,
Yeah, come on. Let's give her something.
Okay, so my question is like, look, as a kid, when I watched The Exorcist, it was scary. It's the scariest movie I'd ever seen. Way scarier than Freddy Krueger. Okay, sorry. My question is, how did being in a movie this scary and this close to something like reality, fourth dimension, how did it affect your art? How did it affect your acting? What did you guys take from this movie that was different from other movies that you've done before, seeing as how it was so scary?
Well, we'll just focus on that last one, just because I think we have to wrap it up in a sec. What did you take away from the film? I think that's a great, perfect last question. So you as director, Scott, and then we'll go down. What did you take away from the movie? Because obviously, when you start something, you're going to learn a bunch, and it's going to change, and you're going to come out with something at the end. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's thematically, I was covering some territory that I've covered before in the horror genre, but I think that most of what I took away from this movie was growth as a filmmaker. And it was the result of working with a DP that certainly pushed me in my understanding of lighting technique. From Jerry, I think I learned, which I think is probably, in my experience, is what makes him distinctive from other producers I've worked with, is kind of this unrelenting will toward making things better all the time. He never really took time to celebrate what was great. He was always looking at what could be better and pushing it all the way up. I mean, when we were in the back room, he was talking about things we can still fix. Like, couldn't that be better if we put this music differently in this one place? It's just the way it works. And I think that for me it was mostly a growth as a filmmaker, and by working with people who are extraordinary in their different positions on the film.
Excellent. What about you, Eric?
I learned, I guess, how big and complicated the subject matter is, and how it's just awesome dinner party conversation.
Edgar?
No, I think that what I take away from the movie is the importance of self-forgiveness and compassion in our daily lives. Because I think that these movies, when they're good, horror movies, where they're good, they're metaphors for greater subjects in life. And I think that without revealing anything about the movie or not wanting to, these guys like Sarchi, the guy that Eric plays, and Mendoza, the guy that I play, I mean, in the end, I mean, to devote their lives to help people, to believe in helping people who go through the unmeasurable amount of pain that Eric described. It requires a huge amount of compassion and empathy. And regardless of how he said it, regardless whether that comes from, the fidgets of an ill imagination or a sick mind or evil forces, dark forces, exterior forces, these people are in need for help, And I think that as an exorcist and people who devote themselves to do that and to walk through the pain with these people, it's really incredible. It's an incredible thing.
That was a beautiful last thought. Wow, that's really nice. Olivia, what else did you take away besides being friends with Long Island Medium?
That's it. Joel, what'd you take away?
Well, I learned that this is the coldest place I've ever been in my life, in this the stadium or whatever.
Right now, one.
Thanks, guy. It's the same guy yelling at Olivia. To work with my best friend Scott, to sit there and just to watch him work was like it was so great, and it was a dream come true. And then, almost all my scenes were with Eric, and to witness like a true, Eric is a movie star, and he brings the good. For someone to look like him and be able to act is
it's not fair.
Yeah,
it makes me hate him horribly, and but to watch his process and to see him fully be this character, and when he would drop out of the Bronx accent and back into Australian accent, the Bronx cops on set would be like, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" And it was just, to witness that was pretty amazing. So that's and that working with Jerry, he's just got fabulous hair.
Well, guys, if you're talking about the movie, please use the hashtag Deliver Us From Evil, and you can go to the Facebook page Deliver Us From Evil Movie.
Oh, and At Midnight is an awesome show, and congratulations,
thank you.
Chris.
We're not here to talk about me.
Chris Hardwood.
We're not here to talk about me or Walking Dead or anything. But we'll be doing a Nerdist panel tomorrow at noon, and then I'm doing a signing from 2 to 3 at the Nerdist booth. I think you can go get tickets for that at 10:30 tomorrow morning at our booth. But besides that, please help me in a huge round of applause for Scott Derrickson, Eric Bana, Edgar Ramirez, Olivia Munn, Joel McHale, Jerry Bruckheimer. This movie comes out July 2nd, I'm told. So please watch it and bring friends. It's nice to see you guys. Enjoy your burrito.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That concludes programming for the Arena for Saturday. We hope you've enjoyed your day. Please make sure to check around your seats to take all items with you. We'll need to be clearing out this room for the next event, which is the Masquerade, which won't be starting until late.